So today we're going to talk about calling up old leads in sales. So depending on the leads you are calling right now and like the size of the lead pool that you have, it might be you might be having like a lead pool of like 10,000 leads or even more, or you might have like a smaller lead pool if you're in a restricted area or just calling like higher value clients. So eventually everyone needs to call like the same leads again, but if you have a smaller lead pool, of course you have to do that earlier, right? So this comes with like a bit of caution because a lot of people think when you cold call or when you call up leads in general that you can just kind of say whatever because you won't see them again anyway, and it doesn't matter if you are like a little bit rude or whatever if you don't finish like in a good way. And so it's important that you actually consider that when you want longevity in your career, in your business, or as a cold caller, because reality is the lead lists aren't endless, right? So eventually you need to call up the same people again. And for me, I found that often comes with a lot of like conflict because because it's like a cold call, like it's never really smooth, right? There's always like some type of conflict that happens. And then when you call them up again, it's like there will be some people that recognize you, especially if you're calling up the people that you've done meetings with. If you've done a meeting with and like they didn't close, you've tried to overcome some objections, so there's going to be some like resistance there, and there will be people that remember that. So that's going to be like calling up the old leads again. It's going to be confronting for yourself, right? Even if you do it in like the best possible way, it's going to be confronting. But I think it's like one of the best things you can do because now you're really validating yourself against your past and what you've done. And now, because you're getting feedback now, you can actually start improving, right? Because maybe some people didn't really like what you did, and that's going to be normal, right? But the point is, you find a way to like overcome that, deal with that, and learn from that, so that next way you can just do it in a more efficient way, and you're less bothered by it as well. Like that's like the goal for me. And I think that should be the goal for everyone. You can really ask the question like, do I really need to call up that much leads in the first place? I've heard of people that get their business going, like maybe they just call a couple thousand leads and they get their business going. Well, that does happen for some people, like if they are talented or they are lucky. But if you're not, then you need to put in the work. So you're going to need to call them again. And if you are serious about cold calls, then you're going to need to call the same leads again either way. So I think that's really a good practice to have, because now the more you call the same leads again, it's like the more you get actually confronted with what you've done. And because of that, like you sell in a more natural way every time. So it becomes more of like just a thing that you do. Like it's just more who you are instead of like a thing that you do. Like you're not doing the selling thing. Like you're just talking to this person and you're just selling a product with it, right? That's what you do, but it's also what you are. Whereas if you're just calling up cold leads, you don't have the mindset, right? It's just like masks that you're putting on temporarily. So yeah, man, and I think it's actually the same thing when you are like out in the real world. We're meeting new people and maybe like in a new city. Then like, you know, you talk to them for the first time, and then some people will say like crazy things. Like to an extent, like there's nothing wrong with that per se, but if you then see the same people again, like you need to be real and you're going to be confronted with what you've done, right? So it's the same thing for me here when I used to talk to new people here, talk to strangers here, to practice my social skills. Like I made some, you know, mistakes or whatever. Like I just went a bit too far and did some silly things. It's nothing bad or nothing severe, but like at the end of the day, you do get confronted with what you've done, and then you learn from it. Every time I now approach someone, I'm already thinking, well, what's it going to be like the next time I see this person again? And that way, you are not just putting on a mask, but you're actually like being yourself, because you're now also treating the other person like an actual person, right? So that's the thing. And yeah, man. So it's the same thing with leads. It's the same fucking thing. Sorry, cursing. I just got a little bit annoyed. But it's the same thing when you're calling up leads. It's good because it's like testing your identity in a way, right? And it's going to be a challenge, but you can do it in a good way. So you know, it's not just me saying, hey, you need to do this. If you're serious about it, like you're going to be confronted with it either way. So you might as well prepare. And I think it's important also that like you don't avoid this, because I could just, instead of calling up the leads that I have done meetings with, that I know like, well, there's like a little bit of resistance there. Instead of that, like I could have just skip that, right? And just call the other leads. Now I've called them before, but I didn't do meetings with them. But that's not the best way to learn, right? So yeah. That's why when you do sales, like you always want to think about what's the best way to me to grow right now. Not what's the easiest thing to do today, but what's the best thing for me to grow as a salesperson and for me to grow my business. Right? And it often means doing the hard thing. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do something silly that you can't maintain. Like I said, like you can think about longevity, but it is about doing the thing that most people wouldn't do. That's how you get better than most people, right? Like that's what I believe at least. So yeah, it's a lot of things you can learn from calling up old leads again. And I think your sales process becomes more whole instead of just like a script or a mask you put on. And you really master internally this ability. That's what I feel. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out the next one if you want. And I'll see you guys later. Cheers.